Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I am Lisa Beth and today I will be sharing my 5 highest ranking DreamSnap submissions. And there's something quite special about them as they have all ranked in the top 5. So I'll be sharing these 5 photos with you today along with my thought process behind them and a few tips and tricks that will hopefully benefit your future snaps. With that said, let's get into it. First, I want to say that I absolutely love DreamSnaps. I think it really helps solve the issue of Moonstone prices being so high, and I love that it gives us something else fun to do in Dreamlight Valley. I tend to work really hard on my DreamSnaps, but for me it has definitely paid off. In addition to being in the top 5 multiple times, I have also been able to get 4K Moonstones on all of my other submissions, and I have participated in all the challenges so far. I do have a Mac, but I am able to run Windows on it, and I purchased Disney Dreamlight Valley through Steam due to some limitations on the Mac. So my submissions that I will be showing you are part of the PC, etc. voting pool. The first photo I will be showing you is for the Something Wicked theme. This was a Decor challenge and I ranked number 5 with a reward of 5,500 Moonstones. For this challenge, I knew right away I wanted to do something with Ursula and possibly use her Vanessa form from the Ursula Dream Style bundle. When I thought about that more, a particular Ursula scene from the Little Mermaid movie popped into mind. At the end of the movie, Vanessa is on Eric's ship and she looks in a mirror and sees her true Ursula form. And I thought it could be really cool to try and capture that in my snap. So I decided to take that scene but create an area that felt like Ursula's lair at the bottom of the ocean. I wanted something darker than the beach, so I chose the glade for my setting, and I picked out a spot that would have really good lighting on my scene. To me, lighting is one of the most important aspects of a DreamSnap. When choosing my location, I always use the camera to set up my angle and see how the light will be hitting me and my decor. And I really suggest anyone doing a DreamSnap to start out this way. There's really nothing worse than doing a whole DreamSnap design and then realizing at the very end that the lighting is not adequate. I adjusted the time of day and settings to just after sunset, so the palm trees lit up and the light was still shining directly on me. I started with adding things like the palm trees, coral, and the seashells. And to get the Ursula's lair vibe, I added things like the potion cabinet and the table with crafted potions on it. And then around the outside, I added some frozen trees to give the appearance of seaweed hiding the lair. I dressed as Ursula and wanted to make it seem like she was the actual reflection in the mirror. I stood in front of the mirror and covered my feet with some rocks so they weren't going past the bottom of the mirror. I then put Vanessa in place facing the mirror. Once I had the area set up, I took advantage of the lighting I chose earlier. I tilted the camera so the glare from the sun reflected on the mirror. I think the way it outlines my character really helps it to look like I was a part of the mirror. I think sometimes it can be risky to do a specific reference to something because voters are really only looking at the photos for a few seconds. But in this case, I felt it was a very iconic Disney reference, and in the end, it definitely paid off. Next up is the Trick or Treat theme. This was an outfit challenge and I got ranked number 2. I was rewarded with 10,000 Moonstones, and this is actually the first of 3 submissions that I will be showing you with rank number 2. Now with this submission, I first want to mention that when there is an outfit challenge, I always consider my background too. There really are only so many clothing and furniture items in the game, so I think it's important to stand out. So regardless of the challenge, I always do a background that complements my outfit and vice versa with the Decor challenge. One thing I can't stress enough is that tags help with rank. I know there may be people who think the minimum or slightly over is just fine, but the better you do with your tags, the more likely you are to rank higher. I've seen a boost in my results after focusing on tags more, and I also tested it out with some fellow Dreamlight Valley players who also saw a boost in their rank. However, you don't need to take my word for it. Gameloft put out a survey last week and there were some questions about DreamSnaps. One question in particular was, which of the following statements are you aware of with regards to DreamSnaps? Please select all that applied. As you can see, the second option that comes up for me is, following this week's theme and item tags will help you rank higher in the standing. So Gameloft is being clear here that focusing on tags does help with rank. The minimum tags will allow you to submit your DreamSnap. However, if you go above and beyond, that is definitely going to help with your rank. With that said, for this submission, I wanted to get as many tags as I could. I saw these goggles and they made me think of a mad scientist, so I decided to lean into that. It's also good to note that there are usually a few hairstyles that will count for tags as well. The Winifred hair counted for one of the tags, so I chose that as it really worked with the mad scientist idea. I then opted to wear separates and layered items to help increase my tags. I wasn't sure how the outfit would read to others, but I decided to roll with it since it was a Halloween costume challenge and I felt this fell within the theme enough. Now for my setting, I chose the Forgotten Lands. I had the idea to create a neighborhood where you would trick or treat on a dark Halloween night. So I used the cottage and Goofy's house as well as some bare living trees to frame the Tower of Terror in the background. For me, the Tower of Terror represented that old creepy house at the end of the street that makes you too afraid to knock on the door. Or perhaps a neighbor turned their home into a haunted house and you can't quite decide if you'll hate it because you're scared or if you will be absolutely thrilled with it. When taking pictures for this snap, I originally got a shot that had a beautiful orange fog that had rolled through. It looked so awesome, but unfortunately it faded my character and the vibrant colors in the background. So instead, I opted to put some blue light posts in the back for a fog effect, and I think it turned out really good. I decided to use the wind-up raccoon from the 2022 Halloween Star Path. He's one of my favorite critters, so I added him as well as Stitch in his Halloween dream style from the most recent Halloween Star Path. I also chose to use ravens to add to the creepy vibe. I managed to get 3 ravens in the shot. The way I did this, I fed 2 ravens in the Forgotten Land, and I used my character to manually push them over to my Dreamsnap area. I then added a companion house outside the frame of the photo in order to get some extra birds. So the 2 ravens that I fed, I was able to keep in place. I just had to wait for any additional birds to come flying through if I wanted to have more than 2. Fortunately, I managed to get a 3rd bird coming in, and I was really excited because I managed to get all 3 with their wings up. Most of the time with characters and critters, it's a big waiting game to see if you can get the action shot that you want. So the fact that I happen to get all 3 with their wings up is pretty amazing. The last thing that I have to say about this particular dream snap is I think it's my favorite one that I've done so far. I had so much fun with it, and I love all the colors like the purples and orange that really pop out. I also love the little pops of green on my outfit and the candy bucket that's up front. And I am so happy that others love this too, and it got me such a high rank. Continuing on, this next submission was for the second Dreamers Unite theme. It was a decor challenge, and I also got ranked number 2 for this one, as well as another 10,000 Moonstones. For the first Dreamers Unite challenge, I did a concert in the park set up in my meadow. It did get 4K, however, I decided not to recreate it because my meadow was fully decorated by this point. I didn't want to tear my meadow build down. Also, I just felt with the lighting, it wouldn't have worked anywhere else in the valley. So instead, I did a snap inspired by a gazebo feature in my meadow. I ended up choosing the Sunlit Plateau, but really only because it was an empty spot in my valley. I played with the lighting there, and I chose the time during sunset. The Sunlit Plateau didn't fit the color palette that I wanted, so I used the vine walls to block off what was behind my Dreamsnap area. Also, the vine walls were really helpful because I was able to hide additional items behind them to increase my tags without overcrowding my photo. And that's something you can do if you don't want to use too many items in your photo. You can always hide additional items behind your setup if you have room. I wanted to create a beautiful courtyard, so I added 3 gazebos, some cherry blossoms, and some fountain tiles. I also added a bunch of Ratatouille simple lamps to line the paths. I use these a lot because I think they make really great garden lanterns. I then put my character in a lovely pink dress to match the flowers and the cherry blossoms, and I chose to have her standing to the side looking off into the distance. And I think she looked really beautiful. I topped the photo off by using the white fox, and I managed to capture the white and pink bunny hopping in from the companion house I had outside of the frame. And this one was kind of a headache because for some reason the critters did not want to cooperate that day. I had a limited area for them to be in, but for some reason they just did not want to go in the directions I wanted them to. But I think my husband was my good luck charm because he walked in the room and I just happened to get this shot when he came in. In the end, I think this dream snap turned out beautifully and I am quite happy with it. Moving on, we have one of the most recent challenges, which was the holiday cheer theme. This was also a decor challenge. I'm ranked number 2 for 10,000 Moonstones. So most of my dream snaps, I may use 1 or 2 premium items. This one, however, to be honest, I did lean mainly into the premium items, as well as Star Path items and craftable DLC items from the Rift of Time DLC. I absolutely love the new candy cane fence from the premium shop and wanted to feature that as well as the new winter castle that lights up. I was trying to figure out how to play up the blue hues of the Frosted Heights along with the reds and greens of Christmas, and I ultimately landed on doing something with a whimsical holiday feel. I really love the frozen trees, so I wanted to use some in the background. I also put one in the foreground with the leaves hanging over in order to make it feel like you were coming in from a whimsical winter forest that leads up to the castle. I used the wreath light posts and Christmas trees from the 2022 Christmas star path for the holiday feel. And to add to the whimsical feel, I added the glowing flowers. I also added the blue stones from the DLC to kind of give it a winter path. I also think the new premium polar bear item is really cute, so I had him peeking in from the right side. Like all my other submissions, I chose the lighting beforehand, and I chose a time when the moon was rising in the background, but the sun was setting in the foreground, so my Dreamsnap area still popped. I fed 2 foxes that were in the area and pushed them to where I wanted, and I was fortunate that it happened to be the blue and white ones, which went really perfectly with what I was going for. I also brought Belle and Ariel into the area, and I trapped them in with rocks, which is a really great way for trapping characters and critters in your Dreamsnap area. The rocks are small, so they are either unnoticeable or they can be placed outside the camera frame without interfering with the shot. And finally, I chose to pose with the new Snowman Raccoon for the most recent winter star path. I have to admit, I tend to be really overly ambitious with my Dreamsnaps, and this one was no different because I really wanted to get fireworks in my shot as well. If you aren't aware, you can interact with the premium winter castle and fireworks will display for a minute. But I quickly realized it was way too ambitious, especially with all the characters and critters I had in the shot. It was not going to be realistic to remove the stones, run up, interact with the castle, run back, put the stones back, get Olaf in place, get the foxes in place, and hope that Belle and Ariel came into the shot. But ultimately, I did get a shot that I really liked, but I wasn't sure how people would feel about this one. I think it's easy when you see other players doing really beautiful Dreamsnaps to question your own. And to be honest, I almost always question my Dreamsnaps until I eventually come around to loving them. I think it's just how my brain works. I tend to question things a lot and overanalyze. But it does seem other people appreciated it and they decided to vote on it. And last but certainly not least is my Wallys garden submission. This was an outfit challenge, and I did what I set out to do since DreamSnaps begun, which is to achieve that coveted #1 rank. And for doing so, I won a whopping 12,000 Moonstones. I wanted to do something a little creative with this theme because I knew that everyone would be using Wallys garden and either stand or decorate around his garden for this challenge. That obviously makes sense though, since it is a Wallys garden challenge. But in order to stand out, I decided to create my own version of Wallys garden. I set my snap up in the forest because I love the area in front of the Frosted Heights steps for the lighting. I used elements from Wallys garden like the trellises and blue painted table in the back, but I added my own touches to it. I built my own garden with some pumpkins and lettuce, and I added some eggplant up front to pop with the other purple tones in the photo. We had actually just started to get furniture pouch exclusives in Scrooge's shop, so I decided to put my new fruit and vegetable stands as well as the beautiful water pump to use. In addition, I used the Cinderella light arch with the tangled pillars from the premium shop to create an entryway in the back of the build from the forest to the garden. For some reason, when I started this Dreamsnap, I had this vision of doing a curvy diagonal path in the middle, and I thought it would be really beautiful to have it lead up to the cottage. When I do a Dreamsnap, I try to fill the whole photo out so your eyes always have something to look at without the area being overcrowded. And I think I have quite a bit going on, but the path helps to break it up and create a more open feel in the middle. To liven the photo up a little bit, I added the green sunbird because it's really vibrant and it matches my outfit well. I borrowed a raccoon roaming around the forest and used the companion house to be able to get a bunny in it too. I think the bunny critters are so cute, and I absolutely love the bunny looking around with his fluffy little bunny tail in view. And of course, I had to add Wally since this challenge was all about Wally and his garden. I love him looking at the camera and I think he looks absolutely adorable. Now, I mentioned earlier I chose this location for the lighting. I originally wanted to have a sunset over the house, so I first had this set up facing the other way. I have used sunsets in the past for Dreamsnaps, but it was typically with a much simpler build or on the beach. I felt like the area was too dark even though I had tested it beforehand. So I tried adding a filter and I submitted a photo with that initially. However, thinking about it for a day, I wanted to try to flip everything around, and to be honest, I'm so glad I did. The colors pop so much more, and I think the glow on my character is really, really beautiful. Before I got my results for this challenge, I shared my Dreamsnaps with a couple people, and one of my friends said they could see this getting ranked #1, and I told her that I really doubted that would happen. But ultimately, she was right. I ended up getting that #1 rank. When I first started Dreamsnaps, I thought this would never happen, and now I've managed to get in the top 5 times. And with this #1 submission, it seems like I hit a winning combination of a good amount of tags and of beautiful photos that players would vote for. I hope that you enjoyed seeing my top ranked dream snaps. And I want to say a big thank you to anyone who happened to see my photos in voting and voted for them. I always try to do my dream snaps in a way that I will be happy with them, but you never know if others will connect with them, and I'm so happy voters did. I hope that the snaps I showed you today will help inspire your future creations, and I would love it if you left a comment on this video letting me know which of my photos you like best or what your favorite part of DreamSnaps is. If you got some helpful tips today or you just enjoyed this video, it would also mean so much if you would like, subscribe, and follow me on my socials. I will be coming out with more videos this week, and I plan to start streaming soon, so be sure to turn on notifications so you do not miss those. I hope you have a happy and wonderful day.